Kaner, I think he skated before practice today, which is a good sign, but he won't play tomorrow.
Is he going on the trip still?
Yeah.
Patrick? Okay.
We're having, I'm sure you know,
Yeah.
our mom's trip, so we're taking everybody, which we should.
So was Moritz just a maintenance day? It was so unusual
Yeah,
to
maintenance
see him
day.
out there in sweats skating.
No, maintenance day for him.
Just elaborate a little more on this mom's trip. Whose decision was it to make it mom's?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, obviously being new here, what the rotation is or how it's worked, but it was the mom's turn, and I think that's great. Been in the league for 20 some years now, and I've never had a mom's trip. I've had a lot of father's trips, and my dad's been lucky enough to go on them, but I think back, and even my mom, I tried to get her to come on this one, but it's just too hard at her age. But think back to everything that my mom has done for me, and hockey until the last decade's been primarily a male-driven sport. Now it's broadening, and that's a good thing, but male-driven, and usually when you think about family and hockey, you talk about the father, and yes, that is a big thing, but the backbone of, at least in my house, the backbone of keeping it all together and keeping us healthy and fed and everything else was my mom. And I'm sure that's happened in a lot of these Red Wing families, and we couldn't be happier to have them here. Sharp practice today. Told them they should have their moms move in all the time, and I'm not sure it was always that way with the father, so I like having them around.
I think it was when you were here that it kind of started under Mike Babcock, right?
Yeah, there was a few teams in the league that were doing it, but I think 05, 06 was one of the first trips that we went on, and the fathers, the players, the staff, it seemed to bring everybody together. It was a lot of fun had. We had a real good hockey club that year, so I think we won a lot of the games. It was interesting to see that Chelly was on that team, to see Mr. Chelios and hear his stories about how Chris ended up in Moose Jaw, and just different, the Swedish dads, Hank's dad, Nick's dad, they were singing the anthem for a long time. I remember that. So it was a lot of fun. It was rewarding, and it seems to be a tradition now around the league.
Quick trip, obviously, but do you get any chance to kind of get to know any of the families a little bit better through something like this?
I'm going to try. I think we owe that to, we spend more time with their sons now than they do, and there's times where maybe we behave like parents. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we do feel responsible or have some responsibility for their development, and they get all the support they can from a long distance, but when they're around, we'd like to get to know them, but it is quick. We took some time this morning to have each of the players introduce their moms and tell us a quick little, maybe a funny story about their sons that didn't have to necessarily do anything with hockey, and we got a lot of ammo now, so it's good.
On the Capitals, they've kind of managed to do what I think a lot of teams want to when they go into a retool. They've come out of it pretty quick, didn't have a prolonged. How do you think they've been able to do that and kind of thread that needle?
Well, their veterans have maintained a fair high level of play. Ovi, look at what Ovi's doing. You look at John Carlson. Those types of players have. Tom Wilson's been around a while. That established Stanley Cup winning core is still there. Reminds me a little bit of our team in LA. And then they've developed some players. They've gone out and added, and either traded for or signed players that fit their style. Spencer's done an outstanding job, and they're a load to play against. We know what they were doing last year, and we had a tough time handling them. And this year they haven't given anything back, so we got our work cut out for us.
Has there been a decision made on which goaltender gets to start tomorrow?
Yep, Gibson's going to start tomorrow.
And then Talbot on Sunday?
Don't know. We'll decide that when Sunday comes.
With one goal in 22 games, Elmer Soderblum continues to show progress, but a few minutes ago he said that he'd like to be more of an offensive force. What are you seeing from him this season, and how can he get more involved in the offense?
Well, Elmer, like a few of our other players didn't get out of the gate quite the way he wanted to, and then he got hurt. And when he was hurt, that didn't help him at all. His injury didn't allow him to skate a lot, and he had to get his legs going again and get his game back. I think over the last 10 games, it's starting to come a little bit better. He's got great hands. He has a pretty good idea of how the game should be played. He can be physical. He can shoot the puck. You put all that stuff together on any given night, then you got a real good player. If one or two of those elements is missing a little bit, well, then you struggle a little bit. So we're trying to get it all together with him and get him confident. Stats like 1 in 22, he knows that. You know that, I know that. It's not ideal for him, but I think he has the ability to break that and contribute. He did a little bit more of that down the stretch last year, and we expect that from him moving forward.
Todd, I imagine a lot of rookies or young players who surprise in training camp and get off to a good start, as the season goes on, they eventually kind of sort of come back down to earth. But here we are almost to the halfway point, and Finney's still playing on that top line. Just what have you seen from him that's enabled him just to maintain the level that he showed at the start?
Well, I think Emmett, like a lot of the young players, played on emotion a little bit early in the year. And then there's a breakthrough period where it kind of becomes an everyday thing, not necessarily work, because we're not working, we're playing. But once the emotion drains and you just got to show up to work all the time, it can be a little bit harder for young players. That was a breakthrough moment for him. He pushed through that. And then there was a little bit of a lull, I would say 15 games in maybe, where wasn't quite going well, and that's sometimes where players give it back. He broke through that. So any of the roadblocks that have come his way, either through fatigue, timing, level of play, performance fluctuating a little bit, he's been able to break through it as a young player. Not all do, and they may need more time, but fortunately for him, he's pushed through it.
Hey, Todd, does something like this kind of break up the monotony of the season? I mean, it could be such a long, arduous season. Something like this a little different. And
I think so. Today's practice is a prime example. We're 45 or 46%, I don't know, whatever, into the season already. We've practiced a lot since September 15th. We played a lot of games. You had a day off. You know what's ahead, 3 or 4 games. Family starts to arrive, and you might give yourself permission to go through the motions in practice. They didn't. They came and they worked. I think that the moms being here has something to do with that. And it can break it up. It's exciting. It's different. We'll see when we get on that plane. Who knows? I do know the locker room was a little louder than it normally is. A lot of chattering going on.
are they going to get access to the meetings? Are you going to bring them into the meetings or not?
We will. Well, we had our gathering today. I saw Michael Layton and Cam Talbot and his mom sitting down together going through clips. There was a few guys having breakfast that I had to address individually, so I had to take them away from the mother-son part of it. Did it with an apology, though. And, yeah, just different, something new, refreshing.
What's the best anecdote that you have with one of the dads as far as the dad's trips you had? I mean, any funny story that you can repeat or anything?
Oh, boy, a lot of them I can't. Well, I just remember my dad was laughing at that group of Swedes singing the anthem. I think they had a little bit of Swedish courage maybe early in the afternoon, and we were in Arizona, if I can remember right, and you could hear a bunch of guys singing in the hallway the American national anthem, and it was all the Swedes, but they had some courage in them for sure.